Hey everybody. So I don't know, maybe we won't get much like turnout today because everybody's at home and it totally disrupts your daily schedule and then you forget that it's 11 and it's time to like get online and watch me paint dragons forever. Hello everybody. I hope you are doing well wherever you are. I am here in Denton, sunny, very sunny Denton. Oh, yesterday was glorious. It was like 82 degrees and it's supposed to be like 85 today. I can't wait. It's gorgeous. I'm so happy. Hi, painting dog. Hello, Shadow Spawn. See, I call you Shadow Spawn instead of Shadow Pants for once. Don't worry, I'll go back to Shadow Pants one of these days when I forget. Sharky and Raven and Anki and Iffy and Magnetic Gumby. Miserable and dreary in South Central PA. That's too bad. Yeah, my for once, David was grumbling at me yesterday because Texas had better weather than California yesterday. So yes, he was jealous. Yeah, it's beautiful out. It's nice. It's a nice to have the weather like this because it lifts the mood, from all the rest of the crap. Like most of you probably saw that Reaper's going to a stay-at-home. Denton went under a stay-at-home order starting tonight. So, yup. Balmy 57. I don't mind it when it's in the 60s and above. When it gets below 60, I start going, oh, and turning blue. Yeah, Canada, you poor Canadians. Where it snows in June. Ah. Yeah, that's true. Since you can't leave, you'd rather have the bad weather. That is a point. That is definitely a point. Like those are like good art and writing days, right? When you get that nice rainy day or that cold day where it's kind of growly, but you feel all warm and happy at home. 36 and drizzling. I'm sorry, Silverthorn. Alrighty. So peeps, hey Scott Beal. So we're doing dragons. Like we're doing dragons because these things, they are not coming to California with me. I will not do it. I am going to finish it. So that means that you will probably see me painting dragons today and this afternoon, and then tomorrow morning I will do the assembly. You probably won't see me do the tail touch up. We'll see. Maybe I can assemble and touch up tails. But we're going to be pushing through, and I'm going to show you I do a to-do list when I get to this point on a model where it's a big complicated model. I might want to make sure I don't forget anything, so I'll show you guys that. And my colors are all set up and my wing is set up. I realized I forgot 2 panels for putting veins on the Black Dragon's last wing, the one I haven't attached yet, so I need to do that so I can attach that wing to him and touch it up. So we're going to do that today, and then whatever else we get to on my to-do list. And then this afternoon, I'm going to pick one of the more interesting things left and do that. So let us, without further ado, get to it. Oh, and Justin, I need to talk to you after the stream about what we're going to do with the Wednesday stream, or if I'm still going to do the Wednesday stream and stuff, and some plans for the future, okay?
No problem.
All right.
Also, hello everyone.
Yes, Justin is actually here. Well, he's not here. He's there, but he's not where. He's somewhere.
Also, I wanted to share a real quick, I think very positive story that I had an experience with this morning.
Okay.
Very quick. So, I got a telemarketer call, and I believe it was someone in India, and I guess without really dragging out the story, basically we got into a conversation. First of all, you have to harass those people because why not? You don't want to be called about your car warranty like a 900th time. And so I was like, so how's I just started talking about other things with this person. I was like, so how's the lockdown over there? And I ended up having a 5-minute conversation, almost a heart to heart with this person about how crappy the lockdown is, how it's affecting his family. And for the first time, I think in the history of ever, I actually shared a moment with somebody across the world who I have zero in common with, who tries to sell car warranties. About I never would have expected common ground, zero. And it was kind of interesting. I just thought I'd share that because only in a pandemic like this can it bring together people worlds apart with zero in common.
Yep. It's like the one common experience.
Especially someone who often, I imagine, receives lots of animosity from the people they call.
Right. Yeah. Usually I just say sorry, no, thank you, and hang up. Or if I even answer the phone.
Sure.
But yeah. So yeah.
But that's
good.
all.
Yeah. No, that was cool. That's really cool, Justin. Like So there you go, guys. If you're feeling lonely and you get a telemarketer call from somebody, like, maybe try to chat with them. Maybe they'll say they can't because they have to stay on script, but maybe they're just like, screw this.
Yeah, because
So,
I believe India is under lockdown, but enforced via military, like
yeah.
on each corner. So
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, and that's like, actually, I was talking to David about this last night, and why it's very unlikely to happen here in America is that essentially you go from a lot of grumbling to actual civil unrest the minute you bring the military or police into the equation in America. So
I agree.
yeah, and it would accelerate everything so quickly. I just think that the government don't want to go there for sure. I mean, it's almost better at that point, just to let people be stupid if they're going to be stupid, and not try to enforce things big time, because yeah, I just see it going down into a very bad time if that happens. But well, and yeah, we're not good at that type of authority, right? Because it's not part of our democracy, part of our worldview, right, Silverthorne? So, we would all be extremely disgruntled, especially the people who otherwise are just trying their best, right? And then they bring that in, and you're just like, oh, it's on, So, yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Caesar Britannica. I'm at home, obviously. I'm going in briefly today just to take care of one last thing. I cleaned out my whole office yesterday. I just have to sweep the floor, and Sadie can move in and set up her turrets to deter anybody else from stealing the office, because I have a very nice office, or I had a very nice office. But,
well, I'm going to be honest with you, and I don't think anyone's going to steal it after today. It's going to be impossible.
Yeah, nobody's going to be there. Well, technically,
nobody's going to be there, really.
Ron could annex it, because Ron will be there. And
Ron loves to label everything his office.
Yes, exactly. See, that's why I told Sadie to set up turrets. Yep. All right. Hello, everybody. All right. Yeah. I wanted everything here. I'm packing. Like, I'm really packing. Like, huge amount of boxes over in the corner packing. Because I don't want to come down to the last minute. I'm so sick of being like last minute. So after this Thursday, technically Friday is my last day, but at this point with the lockdown, it's gonna happen now. But I wanted to be really ahead of the curve on my moving. Like, pretty much have everything packed except the stuff that I use every day. And that's my goal, to have that done a few days in advance. So
thank you for the Twitch Prime
yes, I think you're gruntled, Bill.
Oceans. God, every time.
Yes. Yay! Thank you for the sub. Are we up to what, 17, 18?
Yes.
All right.
That makes 17, I believe.
Well, let's get to work, because I need to get this darn dragon done. So hold on, let me deactivate my intro and go to minicam. All right. Yes, gruntled and disgruntled. It's like, although discombobulated and combobulated are apparently weird words. Like, discombobulated does not actually have combobulated in the English language. I'm not sure where it came from, but I love that word. And being a Wisconsinite, I grew up hearing discombobulated, so I refuse to stop using it just because it's not a real word. So here we are. We're on Wingland. We're going to do some veins, because veins are fun. And then maybe we'll do the claws on this wing, because they need a touch-up, if we get to that. But in general, I'm only going to do, like, a lot of these touch-ups I'm going to do right before I attach the wing, because then I'm just not going to be handling it anymore. And I wanted to tell you, this is my to-do list, guys. So, all right. So when you're working on a big project like this, when you're getting toward the end, it really is valuable to set up a to-do list so you don't forget anything. Because there's all these little bits on here that you could forget if you didn't have your to-do list. Like, I might have forgotten to highlight the belly of the white dragon, right? I was just looking at the models and working down my to-do list, and I realized I had to reinsert that one. So this ensures that you do remember all the little details. And technically, I actually have another thing to add to this, and it would be, I think, left side face white, because I didn't do the eye on that side. So this way, the nice and satisfying thing about this is that once I finish one of these, I can just cross it off and feel like I've accomplished lots of stuff, even though otherwise, if I look at this list, I'm like, oh my god, I have so much left to do, that sort of thing. So it hasn't been dragging at all, actually, Nomad Zeke. If you look at it, I've put in almost 40 hours on it and painted 2 dragons and a base. So easily within the next, I'll probably put another 5 hours into it to finish it. 45 hours for 2 dragons and a base is not bad. It's for my Reaper gallery work. I would guess about minimum 20 hours to paint a dragon. And that's just, trying to make it very efficient. If I was painting these for competition, it'd take a heck of a lot longer. So it's just, this is actually a pretty good pace, I think, for dragons for me. So yeah. Yeah, see, Threads of Fate, you got it in one. That's exactly why I do this whenever I'm getting to the end of a model, and I've been kind of working around on this area and that area, because you hate to give to give it to somebody, right? And then realize you forgot a part. That's just like, oh, it's just so bad. That's okay, Nomancy. You can make a pun for pun's sake if you really want to. But it let me talk about, how long it takes me to do these things, and that's interesting to some people. So yeah. Alrighty, let's do this stuff. I mixed up my colors. Now, for those who were not, or who forgot, the earlier shows, so we've got blue liner and white, and I've done all my mixes here. So this is why I like to use 8-drop pools, because then it's very easy to transition from, one highlight to the next. So it's 6 blue liner and 2 pure white, then it's 4 and 4, and then it's 6 white and 2 blue liner. So this lets you set up a triad that works well together, that are distinct colors that you can use for shading and highlighting. Then I usually take a brush full of the highlight over here and drop in like 4 more drops of white to kind of get an off-white that works, and then I've got pure white here. This, actually, normally I would be using, I was using clear red with a touch of blue liner. I'm using Amadeus red today because it's very close, so it's going to be close enough. You want a dark red that still looks pretty vibrantly red so that when you look at the veins, you can tell that they are red. And that's what you want to do. Woo. Yeah, when you take the photo and you can see the mistakes. Actually, that's a time-honored technique, Kiriniko, with us competition painters, is as we get toward the end, we take photos inevitably to send to our friends and get feedback, and then we pretty much get the whole, hey, you didn't finish this part, or we can see it before we even send the photo, right? Because photos make you look at your work a little differently, and you'll notice flaws you might not have seen in person. So, yeah. Yeah, and it's exactly in Celadon Oceans. It's like I said, it's since the dawn of time, one of the ways to troubleshoot your mini has been to take a picture of it and then look at it and groan. No, yeah. All of my competition painting friends, I know, because especially with competition pieces, because you've got so many moving parts in competition pieces. I think I need a bigger brush. I am using a pretty big brush, but we'll see. But when you're doing competition pieces, it's inevitably a big job. You've set yourself up for a lot of detail and, pieces, parts, and you're trying to do something that's, going to knock it out of the park. So it's inevitably complicated. And then you inevitably miss things. You're very prone to missing things because it is so complicated. So I am setting up some wet blending to really lighten up these membranes. I'm not going to go as light as I did on the other side, though, because this wing is actually curled over on itself, so it's actually not facing the light nearly as much. So it does not need to be nearly... There we go, blend it in. Doesn't need to be nearly as light as the other one, because the other one has a little bit more light reflection. So let's see, I'm going to put more dark up here. I'll blend it in. We're just doing our blending. And remember, if you're wet blending, use a lot of paint. The more paint you use, the wetter it will stay for longer. You don't want your colors to float. So if you see your colors starting to swim and flow into each other, that's a sign that you've used too much. And other than that, though, you're pretty good to go as far as using a lot of paint on the model, especially when you're doing big areas like this. If you don't have a really big brush and you're doing a big area, the fix is to essentially put a really thick or a lot of paint on the area like I just did, and then you can work it. Now, the minute it starts to dry, you have to stop working it, so you have to kind of watch. But there, I got my highlight. See, there's a nice lighter area in the middle. All right, let's see, next one. So now that I know that's the colors I want to use, I'm just going to splop it on here. Splop being a technical term for throwing a lot of paint on something. And like I said, some of these rub-offs, I'm getting a little rub-off here. I'm going to just fix it later. I'm not going to worry about it. See, there's where it's kind of flowing into each other. That's why I've got too much paint. So I know that I don't want to keep loading more paint on. So at this point, I will extend this up a little bit. I might grab just a tiny bit more. Yeah, it's really flowing together and puddling here now. And then I'm going to grab, just rinse out my brush, come right back in when everything is still super wet. You can see how super wet it is. And squeeze the water out of my brush and just start from the middle and just start blending. Now, if you're not using a lot of paint already on the surface, then this can get you in trouble because since your brush has no paint on it at first, it can kind of strip up the paint that's there. But when you're using a lot of paint already, when you've got a big puddle of paint already on the surface, like I do on these wings, that's no longer a factor. Because your brush just essentially mops up the excess that you had already, and then you can blend. And I'm just going to try to get a little bit, I need a little darker blending up here. I need to grab some of my really dark to blend in this top part. Blend that again. Yeah, wet blending works on everything. I find it to be a bit more efficient on big things, although I do spot wet blends on small surfaces all the time. If I just need a quick blend to set up some layering, I'll do it a lot. In fact, I hadn't realized how much it had integrated itself into my repertoire until I really analyzed how I was layering recently. Just play with it, Iggy. Like, grab some big surfaces, even just like a styrofoam plate or a cardboard that you prime, and just work with it. Like, grab a brush, play with it. You will get a feel for it. I mean, most people do, and actually, the people who really shine with wet blending, I find, is if you're trying to teach kids. If you're trying to teach kids to paint, they love the fast results, and they love that they can actually blend, because many of them don't have really good brush control, and so layering can be very hard for them. And so teaching them wet blending, which is really just smooshing paint together, is usually an aha moment in the eyes of your kid, and so it can make painting much more enjoyable for them, and they can get blends where normally they wouldn't be able to. So I highly recommend teaching kids to wet blend. There was an 11-year-old that I taught one summer when I was still in Madison, who I was competing in Golden Demon at the time, and he wanted to compete in the Golden Demon Youth category. So I taught him wet blending, and he ended up taking silver that year in Baltimore. So yeah, I don't know if he kept it with painting. I fell out of touch when I moved, but seriously, teach the kids to wet blend. It's really empowering for them. Yes. All right. Yeah, I think Terrain Tuesdays has a setup for home, but Ed is just going to be so busy because he's one of the few people staying on the skeleton crew. And so he is going to be actually shipping orders and packing orders for people, you guys. He's going to be trying to keep Reaper functioning at least a subsistence level so that we can afford to pay our employees even if they can't be at work, which is an amazing gesture that, that Reaper is doing for its employees. So definitely, keep that in mind. Terrain Tuesdays may be offline just because Ed is really busy. Unless we have me come in and do something, I don't know. That's open to negotiation once I move. If Ed wants to give up Terrain Tuesdays for a while until he has a project idea or more time, we could do that. But I don't know. It's so many things are on the board floating right now. So once we get to California, we're going to revamp. Like, I probably will move this show just a tad later, and I'll probably start to do Fridays as long as Justin doesn't mind giving up his Friday. His Anless Friday.
Is that once you move?
Yeah, once I move.
I think I will have to restructure everything anyway once we kind of get out of this deep freeze that we're all going in. So, like, I would say I have no problem with it, but we'll do a giant restructuring anyway because there's so many moving parts right now, especially with you literally moving to California.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'd like to do. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Well, I would like to do 5 shows a week. One show a day in the morning minimum. So just keep that in mind. And if we want me to do more shows, I am up for that. We just have to work it out. So just since you're going to be in those meetings and I'm not going to be in those meetings because I will be remote. That is Anne's ideal situation. There we go. So yeah, we're totally going to have to restructure everything. Agreed. Once we So veins start at the strut because this is where the blood vessels, the big veins and arteries are going to run down here. So the vein is going to be slightly thicker toward the interior of the wing. And then it's going to get really skinny out toward the middle. I studied actually frog feet membranes and bat wings to come up with the way to do this. So y'all know. Yeah, see, Quindy, I was mentioning that right after I made the stream live is that a lot of people are probably, since they're working from home, their schedules are disrupted, so they lose track of time. Like, how many people do we have in chat right now, Justin? Or on stream watching?
Let me see. Let me refresh, because sometimes it refreshes.
Yeah.
We have 85 people currently,
All
but
right.
I don't know if that's 100%.
Yeah. Well, that's not bad. So we didn't lose much. So pretty much I'm just going to do little squiggly things. Veins tend to connect, and then they trail off toward the middle. And I'm going to try to make them somewhat irregular, so I'm not really paying attention to where I'm putting stuff. And I just want to essentially do some wiggly veins. Wiggly veins. Yay, wiggly veins. Yeah, at least you're still working, right, Nomad Zeke? It's always good. Reaper After Dark stream. You're up late and there's nothing on. That would be Justin.
Yeah, last night was fun. We had fun. I don't know if anyone in chat right now saw the stream last night. Actually, Avrilina was in there. I remember.
Well, she was happy because she actually had something to watch then. There we go. We got our veins thickened toward the wall. I'm going to do this side too. Still have a little bit of wet paint over here, but I'm not going to be too concerned about it since I'm trailing off my veins as they hit toward the middle anyway. Oh. What happened to the 3 p.m. stream yesterday? Yesterday was Tuesday. That's normally Sadie? Or... Oh, I see hair.
we had announced yesterday morning, I think, that Train Tuesday had been canceled.
Oh, Train Tuesday, right.
Although I think John was supposed to make a post about it. Yesterday was really chaotic. I'm going to be honest with you guys.
Yeah.
Because of the lockdown order coming down, and then we had to
Yeah, we had a company-wide meeting, and...
Yeah, we had to get a lot of ducks in a row. I had to get a lot of ducks in a row so that we were basically
Pardon me,
ready to do our stream, So yesterday was a chaotic day. In fact... Fun fact, Dan, I didn't eat the entire day. In fact, when I got home, I started working on the stuff for vMix. And I realized when we got done at about midnight, I was like, I haven't eaten anything today at all.
Yep, I didn't eat lunch. I totally missed it because I was in such a hurry to get to Reaper, and then there was the meeting, and then I had to finish cleaning up my office, and I just never got to lunch. So yeah, it was definitely a crazy day. It is going to be crazy till we iron stuff out, guys. So watch our social media, especially Twitter, because it's the fast one, right, to check. And it's the fast one to update as well. So watch our Twitter, and you should see if a show has been canceled or if it's being postponed or if we're messing around with stuff. Always watch that. All right, now we're going to start. I had a little hair that was stuck in my paint, and that annoys me, so... It happens because I would live with a dog. That was too thick, so I'm going to take my paint right away, rinse out my brush, come back in, kind of thin it down. Because the paint is drying slowly today. I assume we have a humid day in addition to a warm day, so... Yeah... Yeah, I can see not doing Twitter, but doing a spot check on Twitter if you're interested in Reaper updates. You can also check our Discord, which is a lot safer if you really don't want to run into crazy stuff on Twitter. I mean, all the stuff that I have on Twitter is like either Overwatch League or, well, actually, I guess it's almost all Overwatch League or writing stuff or stuff like that. So my Twitter's pretty safe. It doesn't have a lot of crazy news updates.
Oh, also because I like our RTB crowd. I feel like you guys are my special group of people, even though there's a lot of overlap. But so get this: there's a good chance starting next Monday, maybe sometime mid next week, that we actually start doing a nightly stream with Ed and Ron.
Uh-huh. Oh, did you get that in the
nightly.
works? Wow.
Well, Ed and I talked about it yesterday, and Ed was like, "Yeah, I want to do a." So you might see an actual talk show type setup, and it could be absolutely daily, because they want to just get out and talk to you guys, especially if we have all this home time extra. They want to get out and talk to you guys and socialize and just really, really, sit down with our public a lot.
Yeah, because
So
we actually have time to do it. So, time and means. I agree. And it's a great way to get kind of a feel for how our audience is reacting to everything.
So to answer your question, Spoons, no, the entire opposite. The Reaper streams are going to are gonna, in my opinion, they're likely going to triple. You're gonna see a lot of different stuff. Like there's a good chance you don't see Terrain Tuesday for quite a while. You may not see Painting Platinum for quite a while, but everything else is gonna fall into place, especially once it gets set up over in California. And
Right.
you're gonna see a lot of different stuff, but we're going to be streaming more.
Yeah, because, well, we have the time. Let's do it. We have the
On
time and the
that
means.
note,
Yeah.
Miss Ann, I'm gonna go feed my cat because she's losing her mind.
Oh my gosh. Rower, rower, rower. I can only imagine. All right, that's cool. I'm doing veins. I'm like happy. I'm in my happy vein place. Alrighty. We got all sorts of veins. Yay! Well, it's not going away forever, Spoons. It's just going to go like the problem is getting Sadie has zero upload internet in her home. So because she lives with her grandpa and grandma, she helps them out. And they just don't have internet. So essentially, in order for Painting Platinum to go forward, we have to find a workaround for that. And with everything being quarantined and not supposed to leave home, that obviously makes it really hard. So it won't be going away forever. It just there might be a cessation of service there for a little while. We'll see. We're working on it to see. I'm pretty sure he strangled it and then tried to feed it, and it didn't work. But I just think he has a very loud cat that wants to be fed at a particular time, so he is now feeding it. But yeah. Yeah, it's just, we like things to stay stable and to be consistent, but sometimes things like pandemics, apparently, will not make that work so well. All right. Oh, I wanted to show you guys another thing. This is Trixie, and if you have a well palette like mine, the 28 well palette. So I was working on a different project earlier, and so I've talked about the saran wrap trick, that you can saran wrap these and essentially keep the paint wet for at least another day or two. And if you paint every day, you can keep it wet for, I'd probably say about day 4 or 5, it starts to gunk up. But so what you do when you want to save your paint is if you work on your top layer here, or your left or your right, then when you're done with this, you put a drop of water in each of these wells right next to the paint. It helps keep it wet. And then you can essentially keep your saran wrap over that part of the palette, and you can start another project down on your bottom row. So then you can have 2 project paints going at the same time and keep them both wet, and essentially be able to switch back and forth between projects. So that's just a cool little life hack that you can do if you have one of these awesome ceramic palettes from Cheap Joe's Art Supply. So yeah. Looking. Yeah, I know, Quindy, right? The animals are like, what are you doing? Yeah, no problem. Yeah, only with ceramic. Yeah, that's ceramic palettes. Like, ceramic palettes, the cling wrap sticks really well to. And anything else, your mileage may vary. But yeah, I do love it. All right, cool. Let's get back to the glazing step for these wings. And I'm going to use a big brush. Where's my big brush? It's my one Da Vinci Series 11 size one, which is much larger than my Series 10 size one. It's big fat. It's called a wide belly round. And because it's so very wide, like to show you the difference, these are both size ones in different series of Kolinsky sable. And the same company. So it's Da Vinci Maestro size 1. The difference is the series. The series is this little 11 and 10. And the series in brushes is essentially the line, and it defines the shape of the brush. So for Series 11 is the full-bellied round. So you can see that the belly of the brush, which is the thickest part, is very wide here. It's going to hold a lot of paint. It's really good for larger amounts of thinned paint applications. It's also good just for large amounts of even unthinned paint. Whereas your Da Vinci 1 Series 10 is a much thinner brush. It's the standard round that they do. So it's much more of a standard brush shape. Although this particular brand, I do like that it's very long and narrow. So there you go. Alrighty.
I'm back, by the way.
Are you? Is your cat survived?
Yeah, she survived. We know she's hungry, by the way, when she doesn't. She's a Siamese. A lot of people expect her to just start screaming throughout the house, kind of like Mama San used to do.
Yes, that's
But
typical.
that's typical. She's not loud at all. In fact, her meow is often very quiet and pipsqueaky. But
Uh huh.
she, when she wants to get someone's attention, she starts knocking literally everything off everywhere. I'm not kidding. She will throw her weight into things that she shouldn't be able to move as a normal cat to knock it off. To
Yeah.
go, hey, I'll just keep knocking bigger things off until you pay attention and feed me. And it's the crazy thing is she still had dry food, but she's so spoiled with, because she gets wet
Wet
food
food.
once a
Yep.
day and then dry food the other part of the day.
Right.
And she's like, hey, I want that wet food now. I don't really want this dry food. Put it on
Right.
top. I'll eat that later.
Yeah. Uh huh. Yep.
She is a pain
That's
in the butt sometimes.
That's the trap with getting animals used to wet food is that they can play the I'll only eat if game, and when you have a destructive animal like that, or potentially destructive, that makes it double hard to get around that game to make that game not work for them. You pretty much have to remove everything that she can knock off and then just ignore her and feed her whenever, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I actually had a minor heart attack this morning because often the relationship between my corgi and my cat is the cat knocks it off, then she chews it up or eats it if it's food, and
Right.
then they have this site. I think they're working together.
Oh
Honestly.
yeah, corgis
But,
definitely famous for that.
so this morning, Dave handed me some like little Reaper bottles of hand sanitizer yesterday to take home and just
Uh-huh.
use out in public, and I left them on the counter last night, right on accident because I
Yep.
didn't think about it. She knocked both of them off, and I was like, and I didn't see them this morning. I saw
Uh-huh.
one, and I was like, oh no,
Yep.
oh god, I hope my dog didn't eat the other one. So I did. I
Yes.
had a minor heart,
Hey,
but I
Planner.
found it. She hadn't even chewed on it, so
Yeah. Oof. Good. Well, she
that
smelled
was,
it.
that was close. Yeah,
Yeah, she smelled it and
smelled it
went,
before.
"Aw, this isn't food. Cat, what are you doing?"
Yeah,
Probably
their,
yelling
their
at the cat.
contract is their contract is wearing thin apparently.
Yes. So now I'm glazing, guys. Remember putting a layer of paint over the veins after you do it makes them kind of fade in and look like they're under the skin. So essentially, I am brushing a thin layer of glaze from one side to the other and trying to just fade those veins in. It also serves to lighten the area slightly, so it can help to make it look like it is translucent. And I'm trying to brush little excess parts off of the paint. Remember, you don't ever want it to pool, because you want it to go on in a thin layer and be good. And it'll lighten that area. Now I want it to dry fast so that I can go in with, a little piece of paint, little junk. There we go. So I can go in and do another layer, because I want to do a couple of thin layers to fade out the veins, especially toward the middle. And then I want to do, remember we were using Bright Skin Shadow as our final glaze to make it a little less blue and add a little bit of a hint of fleshy color. Alrighty. Thanks, Planer. We're just trying to get these wings done so that I can do more constructing. Once I have these membranes done, then I can glue the other wing onto the black dragon, and then I can start touching up everything, like the little rub-offs here, and little tiny rub-offs on the claws. And I can also finish the claws and get the black dragon completely done. Which I showed everybody earlier, my to-do list. When you're working on a complex project, always keep a to-do of all the things you need to do before it's done. Leave a little room for like writing in things you forgot. And then cross things off as you do them. And that way you know that you're doing your best effort at getting everything done. So today we're doing wing membranes, black. And then, let's see. Oh yeah, I have some time. I might be able to do some claws. So yeah, no free on this one, Dilbert Dog. This show is not a free, and no free because, we have a skeleton crew shipping things and they are going to prioritize customer orders and not freeze. So we have a freeze on freeze. Oh, there we go. Nomad Zeke, you should be proud of me. No, I don't bother to pin them, Sharky in the tent. I really no super glue's fine. I mean, super glue really melts this stuff with the PVC together pretty well. So I never have to pin my wings or anything usually on a Bones Mini. More often, what I find is that I have to cut them down. Like I actually had to chop this wing a fair amount in order to get it to set in the socket right. So more often than not, I have to trim attachment points rather than adding extra support. All right, I want one more layer of kind of lighter stuff. So I think I want just a tiny bit more regular paint. I'm strengthening my glazes a little bit. And then...
Hey, so quick update there.
Yeah?
My cat just knocked my McKaylee's monitor off because she's working from home in the living room, and the cat decided she wanted to just knock the monitor.
She was just like, I am going to be so spoiled now that you are home all the time.
Yeah, she is just being a turd this morning.
Uh-huh. Yeah, this keeps me from getting another cat. Like, you know.
Unrelated note, do you want a cat?
No. I was just saying, this keeps me from getting another cat.
But I know a Siamese cat that's completely well behaved.
No, thank you. Probably going to go a little while without another dog once Kiri passes, too, just to take a break and be able to travel a little more. And then then I'll start looking at David with big puppy dog eyes going, I want a puppy. The problem is that the apartment isn't really good for a puppy because there are stairs. And that hurts their joints when they're growing. So,
ooh,
yeah,
really?
especially for big. Oh, yeah. Like you can essentially, by going up and down stairs a lot, you can increase the chance that your dog develops hip dysplasia and elbow dysplasia. It's an environmental cause. You bet.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
like essentially it raises the risk. Like, your dog still has to have the way that environment interacts with genes is that you still need the genetic predisposition, but essentially it's a sliding scale. So if your dog is genetically set to have fair hips but not good, then stairs can seriously cause that to get worse. Like you're sliding it along the scale. Whereas if your dog is set to have excellent hips, you may be able to get away with the up and down stairs, without too bad, but they may end up with not as good hips when you do your hip scores, and they may be a little bit more prone to arthritis later in life, because their hips are a little bit more lax in the sockets because of all the shock, or they may be developed arthritis a little bit easier. So there's all sorts of things that go into it, but in general, environment interacts with your genetics and just slides things a little farther this way or that way. And if you really want to know the scary things you're doing to your body, think about how food and what you eat and all the vitamins and minerals you're not getting does to all your genetic code. That's the scary part. Eat healthy. That's the bottom line.
Sounds like quality advice.
I try always to give.
I try advice and dog advice in the same stream.
Yes.
This is gold.
And diet
Pure
advice.
Gold.
Diet
and
advice.
Diet
yeah.
advice.
I could go on forever about that stuff. But yeah. Alrighty. So there we go. See, I got nice light color now on the inside of the wings. Yeah. See, and that's it, Chris Air. Like, there are some breeds who definitely have a lot of genetic predisposition toward hip dysplasia and elbow dysplasia. And, Shepherds are one of those, right? Even though with Shilohs, we've been working on that for, 40 years to get better hips. And we have them. But there are some breeds that are just a little bit more toward it. And so especially during the growing years, how your puppy how it uses its joints, can really impact its quality of life down the road, because that's when everything is growing and settling in. And so if you put a lot of strain on those joints when the dog is young, that can translate to problems later in life. So yeah, we try to not put a lot of strain. The other thing, other than stairs, jumping in and out of the car can also make some issues down the road, like a lot of jumping. So like for giant breeds, we recommend no road work or pack work, like not carrying a pack and not just going out like trotting next to your bike for forced exercise. We recommend that you don't do that for Shilohs until they're at least a year of age, because at that point the growth plates have mostly closed and you're not going to do any damage to growing bones and joints. Yeah, that's definitely, yeah. There's the problem is a lot of breeds you can really only manage hip dysplasia when a lot of breeders work together, and if you're a big breeder with a lot of subsidiary breeders who have your dogs, you can sometimes improve hips over the generations by like watching what you breed to and x-raying all of your progeny and seeing where the disease is. But a lot of breeds just don't have the infrastructure to improve on a wide basis, and a lot of breeders don't have the education to understand how to do it. We're lucky in Shiloh's in that our breed founder made that her mission to get better hips in her breed. So we kind of all came into the breed being taught the tactics of how to improve the hips in your breeding program. When a lot, like the rest, 99.9% of dog breeders in the world don't have that. And some of them don't even realize that they can affect it. So, we're going to do our bright skin shadow. I'm going to set up a glaze. I used about 2 to 3 drops. So I'm going to use about 6 drops of water and see how that goes. I want to mute down this blue a little bit, make this lighter area look a little fleshier, but I don't want to change the color too bad. Yeah, that can happen, Mini Maven. Actually, in Great Danes, it's what it can be is too much food or too much calcium or too much protein. And what that does is that the bones actually outgrow the tendons and ligaments, and you get crazy bad looking stuff. But if you reverse diet like you did with your Great Dane, that can straighten everything out. It allows the ligaments time to catch up, and it makes the bones grow a little slower, and so it can really reverse all that stuff. So yeah, that was smart. The dietary fix on the Great Dane was very smart. There's a site who talks about it. I think it's a Great Dane lady, I think is her name. She's a longtime Great Dane breeder, and she has a lot of dietary advice for Danes on her website. There we go. Got a glaze on there. You can see how it takes the color a little different. This is using glazes to shift color and to mute a little bit. I don't want it quite as blue. I want it a little more fleshy down here where the light part is, and so that's what I'm doing. This is about a 2-to-1 mix of water to paint. And I'm mostly concentrating this down toward the outside membrane because that's where it's going to be stretched out and thinner, so you're going to see this sort of color in there a little bit more. And again, this additional layer of paint is also going to fade out the veins more and make it look like they are under the skin. So glazing. This technique also works with tattoos. You don't want to just paint a tattoo on a model. You want to actually have it look like it's under the skin. Do a glaze of your skin tone over the top of the tattoo. Maybe one of these days I'll do a model with tattoos. Yeah, Rotties are nice. I know a really excellent Rottweiler breeder in the Oklahoma, Dallas area. She actually had us do a puppy evaluation on her breed because she was curious about how we did it, and now she comes to all of our puppy evaluations. She said she may end up getting a Shiloh to go with her Rottweilers. And she's fantastic, though. But yeah, smaller dogs, I don't know. I'm going to have big dogs, Chris Air, until I get too old to handle a big dog, I think. Thank you, Azure Sable. Hello, Brush Guy. Thank you. Yes, I realized I had not finished the veins and highlights on 2 of my wing membranes for this dragon. And since we want to assemble him and finish this project, I had to get those done today. So let's see, what do I want to do now? The problem is I'm down to 15 minutes. Well, maybe we can do some claws, maybe. Let's see. Let me get my walnut and a bone color. A stained ivory. Just looking around for all my stuff. There's my walnut. Yeah, in general planer, it pays to find a good breeder who's been breeding for a while because they're going to have tried to, they're going to understand the problems in their lines and they're going to have tried to deal with them as best they can because no breeder wants to get that call from their puppy person about that, hey, my dog is sick, right? We all want to breed healthy animals. And so going with an experienced breeder who's been in the breed for a long time, it may cost you a little bit more for the puppy, but it's worth it. Plus, usually that breeder will have a health guarantee, or should. on your dog, so that if they come up with an issue within a certain number of years, they will, either refund your money or replace a puppy with a different puppy in the future, or help you pay for your the health bills. So it's worth it. So I'm repainting these claws with walnut. Yeah, also true for cats. I don't have as much experience in the purebred cat world. Yeah, missed him. Yep, yeah, because they're heavy. I mean, I will tell you that that was one of my fears because I have a bad back. That Leo, when he was getting toward the end of his life, was going to have an accident and fall down somewhere where I would have to lift him because he was a 100-pound dog. I couldn't have done that. Kiri's easier. Kiri's like 70 pounds. So with that, I could leverage something and just I have a sling for her also that can help, and she also doesn't have the same type of disorder as Leo did, so I wouldn't be afraid of, like with Leo, I was afraid I was going to hurt him because his back was kind of inflamed. But yeah, so I get it, but I do love my big dogs. I want at least one more big dog. And I do love Shilohs. I mean, I've spent so much time in my life helping this breed that I really can't imagine not having one after all the effort and love I put into making the organization better and setting up all these awesome programs for our breed. Ah, yeah, Siberian. Yes, worth the trouble it takes to find a good Siberian breeder, yeah. Yeah, for sure, because, I mean, really, breeders, a long-term breeder is also usually going to be breeding for a good temperament. They are going to be trying to, a lot of backyard breeders, people who just like want to have puppies and throw two dogs together, they don't know anything about what's behind their dog, and they don't know like what the temperament was behind like both parents or any of that stuff, and that's what you see in the puppies. So you could produce a litter that really has questionable temperament, and then it's hard to find homes. And that's what we strive. I mean, that's even with Shiloh's, where we're all working together in our organization. It's hard. When you get a puppy in a litter, you sometimes will get a throwback that's a shy puppy or a really sensitive puppy. It can be really hard to find a home for those puppies. And that's with us working to not breed that sort of temperament. So when you get that random grab bag of temperaments, you could get lucky, but you could also get very unlucky. So I'm doing some stripes here. Unfortunately, things are taking a while to dry. But kind of want to do like little striations just to make the claw kind of look like it's growing out from that dark base. And I could make this, see, with less paint on my brush, I can get a much thinner line. This is how I did the teeth as well. Okay, what's the number? I missed it. Everybody's typing numbers in the chats.
Planers referring to animals.
Oh, okay.
1 for cat, 2 for dog, 3 for birds, or 4 for horses.
Oh, okay. I have only 1 dog at the moment. I used to have 2 cats and 4 dogs, to give you an idea. That was a bit much. I don't think I'd go back there. I really like just having the 1 dog these days. I think it gives me a better relationship with my animals. I can spend more time with Kiri. Quality time. I mean, the bottom line is that, yeah, dogs in shelters do need homes, that's for sure. But there's also kind of a weird subsidiary business growing up now around shelter animals. Like Collins had so much trouble getting the dog that he wanted because the shelter wanted to ship the animal to freaking Boston or something, even though they had a home right there. There's like all this weird stuff going on. I don't know. But mostly I support good breeders. And I really don't care if they're breeding mixed breeds or purebreds. There's an excellent breeder of Irish Wolfhound mixes up in Vermont. You know, I don't care if you're breeding purebreds or not, but be a good breeder. I mean, the better breeders essentially mean less dogs in shelters, in my opinion. Alrighty. Yeah, that's part of that Motor City Ray. I think is also that the herding breeds tend to fly that way. Like we see super sensitive pups in our Shilohs too, and they take a bit more work. They're the sweetest dogs ever, the sensitive ones. But yeah, they do take more work if you want them to be functional in a nice way outside of your home. But I think the herding breeds do tend, like they've got a genetic component there. Um, they seem to. I hear that about a lot of different herding breeds. Unless they're the ones who like are bred for like super hardcore, like Belgian Malinois, you know, bred for police work or military work, and even then you could get a sensitive dog. All right, got some claws. Gonna get some more claws. Yeah, I had an Abyssinian rescue actually, once upon a time. Yeah, Cannon dog. I don't see that breed much. I used to know all the dog breeds when I was a kid. I'd always look at them all and try to figure out what my favorite breed was, what I wanted to have. And German Shepherds were always top of the list, but I didn't know anything about Shilohs when I was a kid. Though when I was looking at that stuff would have been, well, yeah, shortly after Tina was developing the Shiloh. I didn't know a lot about rare breeds at that time. But my grandparents had, they always had German Shepherd Collie mixes. That was a German Shepherd and Collie mix was a very popular farm dog mix in Wisconsin. So they had one, their dog Mac, and then when he died, they got Duke, who was another GSD Collie mix. And so I grew up like really liking that sort of combination, and weirdly, Shilohs are kind of like that. So I kind of got my favorite mixed breed turned into a purebred. Mountain Cur, American rare breed, isn't it? Mini Maven? I think from out east, Appalachian. Am I correct there? There's some interesting breeds out there, from American breeds, and the challenge is to get enough of a gene pool to sustain the breed with some of these rare breeds. Unless a large group like gets on it, it can be difficult. And that's our problem too. We're a small rare breed, so we're currently expanding our gene pool. Yeah, hunting dog, not afraid of anything. Yeah, uh-huh. Yeah, well, because they used to, don't they have like wild boars in the mountains? And there's bears and stuff. Like, yeah, pretty fearless dog would not surprise me. Well, and even raccoons and stuff aren't any are nasty animals when they're cornered. So having a hunting dog that's very, very courageous makes sense. All right. Almost got all the claws done on this wing. Pyrenees are sweet. Sarplaninax used to have a big problem with temperament, and Kangals are also known for, they're definitely flock guardians, they're working dogs, they're not family dogs. It's neat that they're rebuilding that breed right now. It's very interesting work they're doing. Sarplananak is behind the Shiloh Shepherd. You may not know that, Silverthorn. It was actually one of the original crosses that was introduced back in the 70s. So the light spectacles, like if you look at if you look up pictures of a Shiloh Shepherd stable puppy and you look up pictures of a Sarplananak puppy, you're going to see extreme similarities. Tina essentially integrated. There was another breeder who was using Sarplananak blood in his lines, and Tina got one of the pups coming down from that lineage and integrated it into her lines. So Shilohs do have Sarplananak behind them. But that started the whole Shiloh Shepherds rather than German Shepherds thing. That and she also introduced a Malamute GSD mixture, and that was when she split from the AKC, and Shilohs became their own thing. Alrighty, got some nice claws going on. I'm just going to mix some pure white together with my creamy or my stained ivory, and to make a highlight. Yeah, so our Sarplananak temperament has changed a lot in the past 30, 40 years. Like, they used to be very much not a family dog, and I've heard that their temperaments have gotten friendlier, but I don't have direct experience. I think everybody's temperaments are getting friendlier at this point, because in order to be, to fit into a family life, like today's family life, the dog has to be. Like, the job of dogs has changed. It's not so much that they're out in the middle of nowhere having to fight off who knows what from the flock, right? Or to scare away any stranger that comes near the house. It's more that they're companions. So I'm going to try to avoid dipping. I just dipped a claw in paint, so I'm trying to avoid that. So it's very interesting how breeds have evolved so quickly in our modern times as the demand becomes greater for good family dogs. Don't zone out. That's the bottom line, right? Don't zone out, or you're gonna hear weird stuff coming out of Anne's mouth. You could be falling asleep. Don't fall asleep during stream. You'll have weird dreams. Alright, little claws. Yay, little claws. Alrighty. Great. Yay, claws. It's both. It's both nature and nurture. If you have a dog that is bred to be antisocial, you can slide it on that sliding scale toward more social, but there will be a point where it doesn't go any farther. So a truly sociable, friendly dog, genetically so, is definitely, it is a genetic factor. But you can take a dog that's shy or that is not really into people and teach it to be more so through years of work. So it's both. It's both. Let's see here. Just trying to make sure I've got some of this. I'm doing some touch-ups here, so I can put this wing on wherever I've kind of lost paint. Looking pretty good. Just touching up with a little bit of walnut because it's very close to black. It's going to be close enough. And this is entirely because I got just like out of patience and stopped using my bubble wrap to cradle my mini, so I've got some rub off. There we go. But it doesn't take much time to touch it up, so there we go. Yeah. Yeah, fencing is for sure, for some breeds, it's a necessity. Shilohs are pretty good. But I mean, we usually recommend that people don't just keep their Shilohs outside without supervision. Um, I just think it's safer. I mean, I always was out with my dogs just because I didn't want anything to happen when I wasn't there. Because we'd got, like copperhead snakes in our yard and skunks and things like that. So I'm always a little bit of the paranoid pet owner. I try not to put my dogs out if I'm not there to watch them. Alrighty. Excellent. I think that I have my touch-ups in line. So now we're going to put a wing on. Black dragon, come to me. Boop. Get out there. There. Good. Ha. Excellent. So now we have two sets of wings with veins. And let's do a kind of a dry fit. Now, one thing about these wings is that they curve, so to get them really seated in, you may need to press in the back part, like here. I'm pressing pretty hard, and at the same time kind of curve the wing and scrunch it and get the top set here so that it goes in well. So I'm going to do that, double check that fit. The fit looks good. I'm going to do glue. So we're using the Loctite Super Ultra Gel Control today. Yes, 2 sets of wings. Sharky, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, the chickens are weird, right? Because they're not like the traditional animal that they were bred to watch. Ah. Plus chickens are tasty. I dropped my glue. So this last, usually I put the glue into the recess, but this back little part is too narrow, so I'm going to actually put that on the wing. Put a little bit of glue right on there. There. All right. Let's do that and see what we can do. And then if I did more rub off, I'm going to touch it up. We're just going to put that wing together, squeeze it, press it down, try to get it into its slot, hold it for like maybe 10 seconds. And we'll see. I'm going to see if I can relax it. Nope, it definitely wants me to press it down more, so I may have to hold this for a little while. So here, let's switch back to main cam here. There we go, while I'm holding the dragon. Holding the dragon in place to make sure that he gets his wing on correctly. Woohoo! Oh yeah, skunking is not fun, Chris Area. Yeah, that's why I always go out and watch my dogs. I know that there are skunks around here, and I just don't let them out without me. I just got in the habit. I don't just shut my dog in the backyard unless they've made a mess in the house and I have to shut them in the yard while I clean it up. I never use liquid green stuff. Sierra. So yeah, I don't use liquid green stuff. I use regular green stuff, like actual green stuff if I'm going to fill gaps. But I don't think the gaps, it's going to depend on how bad the gaps are here. As long as I can hold this in place, as long as it cures this way, I don't have many gaps. And so I'll likely just keep it the way it is. That's why I trimmed down, before fitting the wing in, I trimmed down the attachment point, like the big thing that sticks out of the wing that fits into the slot in the dragon. I trimmed that down so that I could get the closest fit possible. I don't like Milliput, actually. Capaco. I use Aves Epoxy Sculpt if I need something that's water soluble to turn into a slurry. I just like the texture better. I like how it cures. A lot of people still do use Milliput. Your mileage may vary. Just try both. See what you like. Oh, and thanks for that. The Patreon plug, Planar Crossroads. I have a Patreon. Yes, it's awesome. If I do say so myself. Patreon.com/paintingbig. Soon to be my main source of income as I am moving to California to be with my guy. And I just put up an awesome color schemes PDF for my $5 tier, which has all sorts of not only the standard color schemes, but also like the split complementaries and analogous and all those kind of things where I kind of break down what they are. And then for next month's PDF, I'm going to actually use some example colors and show how you would apply what I did in the previous PDF. So if you like color stuff, that's what my Patreon is kind of about. I do also just regular painting and technique videos as well. And we're doing a paint along on my $15 tier. So yeah, trying to get all this stuff done before I move. All right. Aha! The wing is sticky. So I do have a tiny bit of a gap in the back, and I'm just going to have to figure out if I want to put some putty in there or if I just want to paint it black, because as the dragon is on his base, let me get the base here. This is Dance of Death, Sharky. It's from Bones 4. It's due to be released this summer. And so it's two dragons fighting. So hold on. So this is our big black dragon. And he is, there we go. So he's fighting a white dragon. Eek! Down he goes. And this is the great thing about bones. They don't break. They don't have a problem. You drop them on your carpet and they're like, oh, all right, whatever. Whatevs. He slots into the base there. There we go. Now we can see him go. Rawr, he says, rawr. Yes, indeedy. Oh, yeah, and Patreon. Oh, thank you, Rathmore. Patreon in general is a great way, by the way, guys. A lot of artists are getting hit really hard right now, especially people like comedians and musicians and people who depend on shows or concerts or anything like that, gatherings to make their living, right? Things like that. A lot of artists are kind of hurting too if they normally do art shows to make money. So if you are on Patreon, look around and see if you can help somebody out, because a lot of them are really struggling right now with not being able to do shows or gatherings. And for real, yes, it's me. Alrighty. And yeah, there's a plug for our Discord. Remember, you can ask, we're over halfway to our next AMA with me, so you can go on the Discord and ask questions in Questionable Anne channel. And when we hit our sub goal, I think we need 12, 13. Justin, am I right?
Yes, we're at 17. So, I'm sorry. We're at 18. So yes, we need 12.
Alrighty. Let's see here. Let's do some assembly here just for cold assembly. So, yes, we're going to be painting more dragons this afternoon, which is actually the normal dragon stream. And then, so here we go. To give you guys an idea. Kind of pegged in. Don't have the wings on, but it is a really cool model. It is super cool. So yeah, so we're going to do more dragons this afternoon. I have no idea about Gen Con. I think all of our plans are suspended Kapaka until we figure out how how the current quarantine and stay-at-home orders are going to resolve and when they resolve, right?
Yeah, actually, freestyle, I was going to recalculate once the stream is over.
YouTube
it's probably higher.
Oh, okay, yeah. This is all telecasting, Chef of Love. Justin is actually, we've been working on this for the last few weeks. Actually for almost 2 months now, Justin. We've been doing test streams from my home.
We have been, yeah. You and I have been ahead of the curve. And
yeah.
Am I so glad that we were.
Yes, indeed. So Justin is able to run everything from his house, and I do my thing here. And the only thing we haven't quite been able to work out yet is marbles. But yeah, so that's Justin is his house, I'm in mine, so we can essentially comply with the stay-at-home orders, but still stream for you guys, which is awesome. And I just have to stop. My Thursday's my last streaming day for a couple of weeks because I'm moving in the middle of the pandemic. Aren't I awesome? I'm just not letting the pandemic stop me. But yeah, it really is a cool piece to see it like actually assembled. So this afternoon, maybe I'll finish the White Dragon's wings and we can put them on Mr. White Dragon, although I have to do a lot of scale work, so I might be stuck with scale work. And then tomorrow morning, I'm going to assemble it. Like, it's going to be almost all done except for the tails, and I'll just do the tail touch-up after I assemble it. And then it'll be done. And then Ron gets it. even if I have to like leave it in a little basket outside of Reaper and with a adopt me note on it. But yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that's true. And before you head out there, you need to stock up on your silver spray paint.
Yeah.
Make sure make sure they know to witness you. Okay.
Yeah, right, right. There we go. Let's see here. So the trick with this model, I'm going to talk about this during assembly, but there is a one part on this model you must put together kind of first. So we'll do that. We'll do that next time. I failed to do it this time. Atop the poor dragons. Yes.
All right. Well, I have a raid set up for us.
Alrighty, who are we going to do? Packing's going good, Chris. Here.
We are going to be raiding Miniatures Den.
Oh, okay, cool. Fantastic. Well, have a great day, guys. See you at 3. I'm going to run into Reaper and sweep out my office and turn in my stuff to Dave, and then I'll be back in time to do more dragons. More dragons at 3. You all have a great day and spread the Reaper love, okay?
Yeah, spread the Reaper love. Keep being awesome, guys, and thank you for coming. We really appreciate it, especially with these particularly difficult times. But hopefully, we're here to entertain you guys, and you enjoy the content we're putting out. Outside of that, we will see you this afternoon, guys. Thank you.